What if I told you there are 3 simple words, not "I love you," that could spark a deeper emotional connection with a woman almost instantly? Not a cheesy line, not a rehearsed pickup, but something far more powerful, something that speaks straight to her emotional core, even if she doesn't realize it yet. Sounds unbelievable. Picture this. You're sitting across from her, maybe on a first date. Maybe someone you've known for a while, but never quite cracked the code with. The coffee's warm, the conversation is smooth, and you feel that flutter of possibility in the air. She's smiling, she's engaged. But then, you say 3 words, and something shifts. Her eyes brighten like you just flipped a light switch inside her. She leans in. The mood changes from friendly to electric. Time slows. You're no longer just a guy she's having coffee with. You're seen in a new light, more than charming, more than attractive. You're someone who gets her. Why? Because those 3 words didn't flatter her ego. They went deeper. They acknowledged a need she might not even talk about openly, craves deeply. Here's what makes this so different. This isn't about manipulation. This isn't some viral hack to get attention. And it's definitely not a gimmick to impress for one night. These 3 words create something rare. A real emotional bond. They don't scream for attention. They invite connection. They make her feel heard, respected, and emotionally safe. They trigger that quiet voice inside her that says, "He sees me. He really sees me." And that kind of connection, it's unforgettable. But here's the problem. Most people go through life completely unaware of the power of moments like this. They keep searching for the perfect line, overthinking every text, or hoping charm will do all the work. But charm fades. Looks don't last. What sticks is how you make her feel. That's why this video exists. Because once you understand these 3 words, why they work, and how to use them authentically, stop guessing and start connecting. Whether you're trying to attract someone new, reignite the spark in a long-term relationship, or simply communicate better with the people around you, this changes the game. Hey everyone, Adam Stoneherand. Welcome to Esto Extreme Fuel. New to the channel, I'm glad you're here. Seriously, you could be watching anything, but you chose this sand. I don't take that lightly. This channel is about real growth. No fluff, no BS. Just real, practical insights to help you win in love, life, and everything in between. Whether you're trying to build better relationships, boost your confidence, or tap into the version of you that you've always known was in there, you're exactly where you need to be. And if you've been part of this journey for a while, welcome back. It means the world to me that you keep showing up. Every comment, every like, every moment you give to this space helps grow something bigger than a channel. We're building a community of thinkers, doers, and people who want more than surface-level advice. So let's talk about today's topic, because this one, it's not just another dating tip. It's a shift in how you approach connection. We're diving into those 3 magic words, words that, when said the right way, at the right time, can flip the switch from just talking to truly connecting. Before you roll your eyes and think, oh, another cliché, trust me, this isn't about playing games. It's about understanding human emotion, and how to build real rapport. Fast. So if you're ready to stop guessing what to say, if you're tired of surfacely velour conversations that go nowhere, and if you're open to learning how to truly see and be seen, then stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what those 3 words are, why they matter so much, and how to say them in a way that makes her heart lean in closer, without even realizing why. Let's dive in. So, as we've just uncovered, those 3 words have the power to open a door most people don't even realize exists. But before we dive into exactly what they are, let's make one thing very clear. This isn't about tricks or tactics. Not about memorizing slick pickup lines, manipulating emotions, or pretending to be someone you're not. No. This is about something far more meaningful. Understanding how human psychology works. It's about knowing what makes someone feel safe, seen, and emotionally drawn to you, not because you've won them over, but because they feel genuinely connected. Let me share a quick personal story that changed the way I approach connection forever. A few years back, I was at a networking event, not the kind of place you'd expect deep insights into attraction, but sometimes life surprises you. I struck up a conversation with someone who wasn't flashy or trying to impress. But somehow, within minutes, I felt like we'd known each other for years. No exaggeration, there was this warmth, this spark of comfort in the air. And here's the kicker. It wasn't because they were the most attractive person in the room. They didn't have some elite job title or fancy clothes. What they did have was presence. The way they spoke, the questions they asked, and more importantly, the way they made me feel. Feel it, stuck with me. Looking back, I realized they had used those same 3 magic words. Not always directly, sometimes they were woven into the conversation so smoothly you'd miss them if you weren't paying attention. But once I noticed them, I saw it everywhere, in conversations between close friends, in long-lasting couples, even in professional relationships built on mutual respect. That experience made me start paying attention. And the more I studied it, the clearer it became. These words weren't just phrases. They were tools. Tools for creating real connection, building trust, and helping someone feel emotionally valued in your presence. So whether you're single and wanting to attract someone meaningful, or already in a relationship and hoping to deepen your bond, or even just curious about how better communication shapes our lives, this video is for you. I've spent years digging deep into the psychology of human connection. I've studied what really makes people open up, stay close, and feel safe around one another. And today, I'm laying it all out for you. Because if you're ready to stop guessing and start connecting, you're in exactly the right place. Let's begin with section 1, the power of emotional connection. Before we reveal the actual 3 words, we need to understand why they work so powerfully in the first place. At the core of every meaningful connection, romantic, platonic, or professional, is something called emotional intimacy. That's the glue. It's what makes people trust you, enjoy your presence, and want to stay in your life. It's not about how witty your jokes are or how much you know. It's about how you make people feel when they're around you. Think about it. When was the last time you truly felt connected to someone? What was it about that moment? Was it the words they used? Or the way those words made you feel? Chances are, it wasn't just the surface-level conversation. It was the fact that they gave you their full attention. They listened without judgment. They made you feel like, in that moment, you were the most important person in the room. That's emotional connection in action. And it goes beyond just feeling good in the moment. It creates a sense of safety, a kind of emotional trust that says, you can open up here. You won't be dismissed. And when someone feels safe with you, they're far more likely to share, to be themselves, and to invest in the relationship, whether it's a blossoming romance or a decades-long friendship. Let me give you a simple, relatable example. Let's say you're on a date. The vibe is good, you're talking about travel, and she lights up while telling you about a special trip she took. Now, you have a choice. You could smile, nod, and move on. Or you could pause, look her in the eyes, and ask, that sounds amazing. What was it about that trip that made it so special for you? Notice what happened. You didn't just acknowledge her story. You invited her deeper. You asked her to relive a moment that mattered. You signaled, I care about what shaped you. Tell me more. And that, right there, is the beginning of real connection. So, as we just saw, emotional connection begins not with perfect words, but with presence. It's about being with someone in the moment, not just hearing their words, but feeling what they feel. Let's go even deeper. Imagine this. You're at a casual party, maybe standing near the snack table or leaning against the kitchen counter with a drink in hand. You strike up a conversation with someone new, and somewhere in the flow of small talk, they let something slip. Honestly, it's been a stressful week. Now, what do most people do in that moment? They either brush it off with a quick, yeah, totally, life's stressful, or worse, jump in with unsolicited advice. You should try yoga. Maybe take a weekend trip. Nate, it's not ill-intentioned, but it misses the mark. Instead, you pause, look at them, and say, that sounds really tough. How have you been handling it? That one sentence, simple, unassuming, changes everything. You didn't offer a fix. You offered space. You let them feel seen, heard, and most importantly, cared for. And that's the heartbeat of emotional connection. Why does this matter so much? Because, deep down, every human being wants the same three things: to feel understood, to feel valued, to feel appreciated. When you tap into those needs, not through flattery or performance, but through presence, you become magnetic. And that's exactly why these three magic words we're about to explore are so powerful. They don't dazzle, they connect. They say, I see you, I hear you, you matter to me. And when someone feels that from you, they're not just attracted, they're drawn in on a level that lasts. But let's be honest, real connection doesn't happen by accident. It's not magic, it's intentional. It takes putting your phone down, looking someone in the eyes, letting silence hang long enough for something real to surface. It's asking follow-up questions that show you actually care, not just filling the space. between sentences. Let me paint one more picture for you. You're sitting across from someone at your favorite coffee spot, steam rising from your mug. They start opening up about a challenge at work. You could easily say, "Yeah, I know how that goes," and steer the conversation back to your own week. Or you lean in slightly and say, "That sounds really frustrating. How are you feeling about it?" Boom. In that moment, you're not just listening. You're giving them permission to feel, to unpack, to be human in front of you. That's where connection begins, not in being interesting, but in being interested. Here's a pro tip that most people overlook. Emotional connection isn't one-sided. It's not about being the perfect listener or always tending to someone else's feelings. It's a two-way street. When you open up, when you share something real about your experience, your hopes, or even your doubts, it creates reciprocity. It says, "I trust you too." And trust builds deeper connection faster than any pickup line ever could. So, as we prepare to explore the 3 magic words, keep this in mind. Yes, what you say matters, but how you say it, and, more importantly, how you make someone feel matters even more. These words are just the beginning. They're the key to unlocking something far more important: emotional safety. And when someone feels emotionally safe around you, they'll want to stay. Transition, 9 o'clock, all right? Let's get to it, because I know what you're thinking. Wait, that's it? Let's talk about the first magic word, you. It might sound too simple, too obvious, but don't underestimate it. This word is one of the most powerful tools in communication. You know how to use it intentionally. Why? Because it shifts the spotlight away from you and onto them. And that's when the real magic begins. So, we just uncovered how powerful the word you can be when used with purpose. It's not just a pronoun, it's a mirror, reflecting your attention back to the other person in the most sincere way. Let's break that down even further. Think back to a time someone made you feel truly seen, like you were the center of the moment. Maybe they said something so small, yet it stuck with you. Why? Because they focused on your feelings, your experiences. They made you feel like the most important person in the room. That's exactly the kind of emotional weight the word you can carry when used intentionally. Here's a simple example. You're on a date, casually talking about hobbies. Now, instead of just going on about your own interests, you pause, smile, and say something like, "That moment, right there, isn't just polite conversation. It's connection in action." You didn't center the spotlight on yourself. You turned it toward her. And with that one question, you let her know that her story matters. So, why does this work so well? Because when you focus the conversation on the other person, you're meeting one of the deepest human needs, the need to be seen and understood. We all want to feel that what we think, what we feel, what we've lived through matters. And by using the word you with intention, you're giving them that validation, not by force, but through natural, thoughtful curiosity. Let's try another example. You're at a social event, talking to someone who mentions they've been working on a big project at work. Most people would nod and say something like, "Oh, cool," and move on. But instead, you say, You must be really proud of that. What's been the most rewarding part of the project for you? Do you see the shift? That sentence opens the door to a deeper layer of conversation. It invites emotion. It invites meaning. You're not just acknowledging their achievement, you're creating space for them to reflect and share. Let's talk about context, because this is crucial. The word "you" is most powerful when it's used naturally and authentically. You don't need to sprinkle it into every sentence like seasoning. This isn't a performance. It's about genuine interest. Real presence. Say you're at a coffee shop and someone's telling you about their favorite book. You could say, "That's a great book." Sure. Or you could lean in slightly and say, "You have such great taste in books. What do you love most about that story?" It's a subtle difference, but one is just a compliment. The other is an invitation to share. You're telling them, "I care about your perspective." And here's another piece of the puzzle: tone and delivery. The word "you" on its own is just a sound. But the way you say it, that's where the meaning lives. Are you smiling when you say it? Are you making eye contact? Do you lean in, even slightly, to show interest? These nonverbal cues say just as much, if not more, than the word itself. It's your way of saying, "I'm right here with you. I'm listening. I care." Let me give you one more scene. Imagine you're at a house party and someone's showing you photos from a recent trip. You could say, "You must have had an amazing time. What was your favorite part of the trip?" That's the moment the conversation turns from surface level to personal, from casual to connective, from just chatting to really seeing each other. So, next time you're in conversation, whether it's with someone you just met, someone you've known for years, or someone you want to grow closer to, using the word "you" with purpose, focus on the other person, show genuine interest in their stories, and watch how the energy shifts when someone feels truly seen. So, now you've seen how powerful the word "you" can be, especially when it's used not just in questions, but in meaningful statements that put the spotlight on the other person. Let's build on that. Here's a quick pro tip. Don't limit the word "you" to just asking questions. Try weaving it naturally into your statements, too. For example, instead of saying, "I love this restaurant," try saying, "You have such great taste. How did you find this place?" Do you notice the shift? Suddenly, the moment isn't just about your opinion. It's about them. You're giving them credit, showing appreciation, and most importantly, you're letting them feel valued. The truth is, "you" isn't just a word, it's a powerful bridge, a tool to help someone feel seen and acknowledged. And when used with intention, it forms the foundation for something lasting, emotional connection. Now, let's move into something even deeper. Section 3. The second magic word. Feel alright. Let's talk about the second magic word. Feel. If "you" turns the spotlight onto the other person, "feel" takes it a step further. It doesn't just acknowledge their presence, invites them into emotional presence. And that's where real magic lives. Why is this so powerful? Because emotions are the gateway to connection. When you ask someone how they feel, you're not just gathering information. You're showing genuine interest in their inner world, their thoughts, reactions, and heart. Think about the last time someone really asked you how you were feeling. Not just a passing "how's it going?" but a sincere, curious, "How did that make you feel?" Didn't that moment feel different? It probably left you feeling heard, understood, like your emotions mattered. That's exactly the kind of depth feel can bring to any conversation when it's used with care. Here's a quick example. You're on a date. She's opening up about a stressful situation. At work, you could respond with, "Ah, that sounds tough. And sure, that's polite." But imagine saying, "That sounds really stressful. How are you feeling about it?" That small shift. That's where connection begins. You've gone beyond the facts of her story and stepped into the realm of emotion. You're no longer just a good listener, a safe space, and that's powerful because our emotions, they're the rawest, most vulnerable part of who we are. When someone asks about how we feel, they're not just acknowledging the what, they're reaching into the why. And when we feel safe enough to share that side of ourselves, the connection deepens. Let me give you another scenario. You're at a social gathering, chatting with someone who recently went through a painful breakup. You could say, "That's rough," and move on. Or you could gently ask, "That sounds really hard. How are you feeling about everything now?" It's such a small adjustment, but it tells them, "You're not alone in this. I care." You're acknowledging their process, not just the headline of what happened, but the heart behind it. Let's talk about context for a moment. The word "feel" is most effective when it's used in a way that's natural and empathetic. This isn't about prying or pushing. It's about offering an open space without pressure for someone to step into. Say you're at coffee with someone who just achieved something big, maybe a promotion or finished a personal goal. You could say, "That's awesome, and that's fine. But try this instead. That's amazing. How does it feel to have accomplished that?" That question doesn't just recognize the achievement, celebrates their journey. You're asking them to share their emotion, not just the outcome. That's a deeper compliment than a high five. And once again, don't forget, tone and delivery matter just as much as the words themselves. When you ask someone how they feel, do it with intention. Are you softening your voice? Are you looking into their eyes? Are you leaning in slightly to show you're fully present? These non-verbal cues, your posture, your presence, your sincerity, carry the message just as clearly as your words. So, as we just explored, using the word "feel" with sincerity and care can transform any conversation into a space of emotional safety. It shows the other person you're not just listening, you're truly with them. But how do you keep that connection alive, especially in casual social settings? Imagine this. You're at a party. Music is playing in the background. Voices and laughter fill the air. You find yourself in a quiet corner, talking with someone who confides that they've been feeling overwhelmed lately. Now, you could easily say something like, "Yeah, that sounds tough." But instead, you lean in and gently say, "That sounds really overwhelming. How are you feeling about everything?" In that moment, you've just offered more than sympathy. you've given them permission to share. You've shown them that they're not alone in the noise. And that's where real connection begins. So, the next time you're in a conversation, pause. Use the word feel with intention. Ask thoughtful, gentle questions. Show empathy. Create a safe space where emotions are not only welcome, but respected. And here's a pro tip. Just like with you, don't limit feel to only questions. Use it in statements too. For example, instead of simply saying, "That's a great story," you might say, "I can only imagine how exciting that must have felt for you." See the difference? You're not just reacting to the event, you're tuning into the emotion behind it. That tells the other person, "I care about your experience, not just the facts." The word feel is a powerful connector. When you use it intentionally, it signals that you're tuned in, not just to the conversation, but to the person behind the words. You're saying, "I care about your inner world." And that brings us to the final piece of this emotional puzzle section 4. The third magic word. Because now, this one might catch you by surprise, but because it's just as powerful as the first two magic words, you and feel. Why? Because it adds depth. It brings purpose. It tells the other person that there's a reason behind what you say. It might just be the secret ingredient that turns a nice comment into something truly unforgettable. Think back for a moment. When was the last time someone gave you a compliment that stayed with you? Odds are, they didn't just say, "You're awesome." They said something like, "You're awesome because you always make people feel welcome, no matter who they are." That small word, because, turns generic into personal. It transforms flattering into meaningful. It tells the person that you've noticed something specific about them and that your words are backed by attention. Here's another example. Imagine you're on a date. You want to express how much you admire her. Instead of simply saying, "You're amazing," you say, "You're amazing because you have such a unique way of seeing the world." That changes everything. It's no longer just a compliment. It's a reflection. It says, "I see who you are, and I value it." You've shown her that you've been paying attention not to the surface, but to what makes her, her. Let's talk about why this works so well. The word because gives your words weight. It adds intentionality. It signals that you're not just being polite, you're being real. And when someone feels that your words are coming from genuine observation, they trust them. They believe you, and belief is the gateway to connection. Let's try one more example. You're at a social gathering. Someone just finished giving a presentation. Most people walk by and say, "Nice job," but you say, "That was a great presentation," because you explained something complex in a way that was easy to understand. Now, that's not just praise. That's affirmation. So, as we just explored, using the word because brings depth and meaning to what you say transforms compliments from surface-level praise into reflections of genuine thought. Now, let's go even further. Imagine this scenario. Someone just wrapped up a big presentation. You could say, "Great job. That's nice, but it's generic." Or you could say, "Great job, because you explained such a complex topic in a way that was so easy to understand." Now, what's happened? You didn't just recognize effort, You recognize specific excellence. You noticed how they did well, not just that they did well. And that's the kind of feedback people feel. Why does this matter? Because it shows you we're present. You weren't just listening with your ears. You were paying attention with your mind and heart. Now, let's talk about context. The word, because shines brightest when it's used naturally. This doesn't mean cramming every sentence with a reason. It means being intentional. When you say because, you're telling the other person, there's meaning behind my words. Here's a simple example. You're out for coffee with someone. They tell you about a recent success, maybe a new job, a personal goal, or something they're proud of. Instead of just replying, "That's awesome," you say, "That's awesome, because I know how hard you've been working on that." Do you feel the difference? You didn't just applaud the result, you acknowledged the journey. You let them know you've been paying attention, and that your words carry emotional weight. Let's not forget tone and delivery. The power of because isn't just in the word, it's in the way it's delivered. Are you saying it with sincerity? Are you making eye contact? Are you speaking with warmth, maybe smiling just a little? All those non-verbal cues matter there. Like punctuation for your sincerity. They say, "I really mean this, and I want you to feel it." Here's another example. Imagine you're at a party, and you're talking to someone who's been feeling uncertain about a big decision they made. Most people might say, "You made the right choice." But you say, "You made the right choice because you trusted your instincts." And honestly, that's something I really admire about you. Now, instead of just offering comfort, you've offered affirmation. You've helped them see their strength. You've connected their action with a deeper quality within them. That creates emotional resonance. Here's a pro tip. Because isn't just useful in compliments. Try using it in questions too. For example, instead of asking, "Why did you choose that career?" you could say, "What made you choose that career? Because it really seems like such a perfect fit for you." That's not just curiosity. That's curiosity wrapped in validation. You're saying, "I see you, and I'm interested in what makes you ... you." So remember, because is a powerful tool for adding meaning, intentionality, and emotional depth to your words when used with care. It shows the other person that you're not just talking, you're thinking, observing, and feeling, and that your words come from a place of sincerity. And that's the foundation of every strong relationship. Section 5. Putting it all together now that we've explored all three magic words, you, feel, and because, it's time to bring them to life. Because, here's the truth. These words are powerful on their own, ... But when combined, they become unstoppable. Let's walk through how to use them in a real-life conversation. Imagine you're on a date, and she's telling you about a recent trip she took. You could just nod along, smile, and say something generic like, "That sounds fun." But what if you leaned in and said, "So, after learning how each of the three magic words works individually, you, feel, and because, it's time to see their true power when they're used together." Because that's when conversations shift from polite to profound. Let's go back to that date scenario. She's sharing stories from a recent trip. Most people would respond with something safe, like, "Wow, that sounds fun." But imagine, instead, you lean in slightly and say, You have such an amazing way of describing things. It feels like I was right there with you. What was it about that trip that made it so special for you? Because it sounds like it really meant a lot. That's not just a reply, that's presence. Let's break it down. You used all three magic words in a single, fluid sentence. You focusing your attention on her. Feel, tapping into the emotion behind the story. Because adding depth and meaning. You didn't just acknowledge what she said, you created space for her to relive it, reflect on it, and feel seen through it. Here's another example. You're at a social event. Instead of just saying, "That sounds hard," you say, "You've been through so much. I can only imagine how challenging that must have felt for you. What's helped you stay strong through it all?" Because it's really inspiring to see how resilient you are. Again, you're layering presence, empathy, and recognition. You're not giving advice. You're giving a voice to their strength. That's a gift most people rarely receive. Why does this work? Because when you combine, you feel, and because you create a conversation that is focused, emotionally rich, and deeply intentional. You're not just listening with your ears, you're listening with your heart. Let's take another scene. You're at a coffee shop, and someone is telling you about a personal achievement they've been working toward for months. Instead of replying, "That's awesome," you say, "You must be so proud of yourself. It feels like all your hard work is finally paying off." What's been the most rewarding part of this for you? Because it's such a big accomplishment. That's the difference between a compliment and connection. You're giving them a moment to pause, to reflect, to feel proud, to feel understood by you. Now, how do you practice using these words naturally? Start by becoming aware of your conversations. Notice how often you talk about yourself versus focusing on the other person. Look for moments where you can ask how someone feels, or where you can naturally include a because to add meaning to your words. Yes, it might feel a little awkward at first. Like learning a new instrument, you may hit a few wrong notes, but with practice, it becomes second nature. Here's a pro tip. Don't try to cram all three words into every sentence. This isn't a script, it's a skill. Use what feels right in the moment. If someone's opening up about something emotional, focus on feel. If someone's sharing an achievement, use because to deepen your praise. Want to shift the focus from you to them? Start with you. And most importantly, be authentic. These words are powerful, not because they're tricks or tactics, but because they help you connect in ways that feel real. If you're forcing it or faking it, the other person will sense it. Connection thrives on sincerity, so slow down, listen, be present, and speak with intention. Let me leave you with one final example. You're at a party. Someone you're chatting with is feeling unsure about a decision they've made. You could say you made the right choice, but instead, you pause and say, so instead of simply saying, "You made the right choice," you say something like, "You made the right choice because you trusted your instincts." And that's something I really admire about you. How does it feel to know you followed your gut? Right there, you've brought together all three magic words: you, feel, and because. And more than that, You've created a moment of reflection, one that validates their decision and affirms their inner strength. That's the kind of communication that lingers. The kind that builds trust. The kind that reminds someone, you see me, you get me, you care. So, the next time you're in a conversation, whether with someone new or someone you've known for years, focus on them. Tap into their emotions. Tap into their emotions. Add meaning to your words. And just watch how the energy shifts. Watch how the conversation deepens. Watch how the connection strengthens. Because here's the truth. Communication is not just about what you say. It's about how you make people feel. And when you use these 3 words intentionally, authentically, and consistently, they become tools for building stronger, more fulfilling relationships. Now, before we wrap up, I want to take a moment to talk about you. Yes, you. If you've made it this far into the video, chances are you're not just scrolling aimlessly. You're here because you care, because you want to grow, because you want to understand others and yourself on a deeper level. And that's exactly what Stoic Havenway is here for. So, if today's video helped you in any way, here's what you can do next. First, hit that like button. It might seem small, but it's a big help. It tells the algorithm this is content worth sharing. It helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. Second, drop a comment below. Have you ever used these magic words without realizing it? Or maybe you felt the power of someone using them with you. I'd love to hear your story. I read every single comment, and your thoughts matter to this community. Third, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Here at Stoic Havenway, we explore timeless principles for living, loving, and leading with depth. New videos drop every week in self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and the subtle art of human connection. Hit the bell icon too, so you never miss an upload. 27 minutes and 4 seconds. And if you're ready to go even further, check the links in the description. I've put together a free guide with more actionable tips on how to build strong connections and truly understand the people in your life. It's full of practical wisdom you can start using today, whether in your relationships, your career, or simply in how you speak to yourself. Because, let's be honest, relationships don't have to be complicated. When you know what to say and why it works, where it learns. So take what you've learned today. Practice it. Let it guide your words. Let it guide your presence. And watch what happens when you speak to the heart of another human being. 27 minutes and 36 seconds. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Adam Stone, and this is Stoic Havenway. And I'm truly grateful to have you here. If you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to join this growing community of thoughtful, courageous people just like you. Remember, relationships are a journey, and words, when used with intention, can become stepping stones on that path. The right words can spark a connection. The right tone can create trust, and the right moment can stay with someone for a lifetime. So, go out there, be present, speak with heart, And don't be afraid to take the next step when the moment feels right. Until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and always keep building your connection. I'll see you in the next video.